cards are dealt the other way now, and for the last time, no more shuffling.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Fuel Shuffling the Deck. I am Tom Tuttle, and today we're going to be talking about a random player from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, there's no more Antonio Brown. There's no more Le'Veon Bell. What direction are these Steelers going to head in, and how is it going to help or make worse any of the fantasy possibilities for any of these players on this team? So let's find out who that random player is so we can start talking about them. All right, well, the random player is going to be Big Ben Roethlisberger. Well, that's going to be an interesting one because he doesn't have Antonio Brown to throw to anymore. He doesn't have, Le'Veon Bell didn't play for him last year at all, but you understand what I'm saying here. The stars there are no longer there. And we'll see what happens now that he has made kind of Juju Smith-Schuster a little bit of a star there. So we'll see what happens with that. But to start with Big Ben, I think we have to go to his stats from last year. And I know some of this is going to be swayed a little bit because, he did have Antonio Brown. So, yeah. Well, some of it's going to be a little much, but we'll see what happens with this and progress into what we think is going to happen this year. He had 5,129 yards, which is pretty good. 34 touchdowns, again, pretty good. And 16 interceptions. That's a lot of interceptions. But they threw the ball 675 times. That's the most he's ever thrown the ball, Big Ben. He's never thrown the ball that much in any other of his seasons that he's played. And the Steelers had more pass attempts than any other team this last year. That's crazy. They really threw the ball a ton because they felt like they had the guys. And, of course, if the defense isn't going up to par, of course, it's not going to help. Maybe they feel like they have to throw the ball. Whatever. But they were 13th in completion percentage as well, which it's okay. It's not the worst, but it's definitely not the best, especially when you're throwing the ball that much. So let's go with the obvious. There's no Antonio Brown. So no Antonio Brown means less throwing the ball. That at least I believe the Steelers are going to head in this direction. I think it'd be wise of them to adapt a little bit more running the ball and just kind of, make it a little more balanced. But less throwing the ball means less interceptions. So I would assume he's not going to throw 16 interceptions this year. Ben Roethlisberger, it's going to be a different scenario this year for the Steelers. I really do believe that. But throwing less also means less yardage. So I wouldn't expect too much less out of Juju. But whoever's replacing that Antonio Brown gig, whether it be Washington or Deontay Johnson or Moncrief, they're not going to replace his production. But they're gonna try and maneuver these guys. Whoever wins that spot to be the number two, I don't know if it's going to be one or if it's going to be all three of them kind of switching in and out between that number two role on that team. We'll see. But whoever's going to be that, they have to replace some of his production that Antonio Brown is leaving. That being said, no more Antonio Brown also equals more spreading the ball around. So, like I said, I think Juju stays the same, but without Antonio Brown screaming into Ben Roethlisberger's ear and making it bleed. I think that Roethlisberger has now a chance to be a little more consistent, a little more say, hey, I can give the ball here, I can give the ball here and here and here. Yeah, Juju's going to get most of the targets, I would assume, but now he has the opportunity to spread the ball around like an offense should instead of just feeding the ball to one or two people. We'll see, but I think that is a big possibility there that they're going to start spreading the ball around a little more. But, I mean, I guess another person that's going to catch some balls out of the backfield is going to be James Conner. Now, there's no more Le'Veon Bell drama for him. So I expect him, this is his now second full year being the running back for the Steelers. I would expect him to progress, to get a little better. I would expect him to have a better year than last year. It's just because I really do believe they're going to go into a more running, not more running offense, but just more balanced. I don't know how balanced it's going to be, but it's not going to be throw the ball every down like it seems like they were doing last year at a ridiculous rate. It was pretty crazy. So what does all this mean for Big Ben and the Steelers? I think it just means they're going to be more, not more competitive, but they're still going to be competitive within that division. It's a tough division. Now, everybody has improved, and they are used to winning that division. But it's a different ballgame now. The Ravens are better. The Browns are way better. It's pretty hard to say that they're going to win the division. The Bengals are just so-so, but to say the Steelers are locked to win the division this year, I don't see it. I think the Ravens have a chance. I think the Browns have a really good chance. I still think the Steelers have a chance to win that division, but I think they have to be more balanced to do that. If they are more balanced, they still have a chance to win that division. They cannot rely solely on the passing game. Because when you are one-dimensional, the NFL defenses can tear that apart. They know, hey, all they'd like to do is throw to Antonio Brown. We're going to try and stop that. If they can stop that, your offense is now shrunk into a really just a pile of almost nothing. You can't run the ball because you're already down. It's not a good scenario. So you can't be one-dimensional. What does this mean also for Big Ben? It hurts them and it helps them a little bit if they're going to be more balanced. It helps him because now he can be more consistent. But it hurts him because all them yards go away, all them attempts go away. Not all of them, but it's going to be considerably less than what it was. I mean, he's not going to be throwing the ball every down, so it's not going to help. But it's going to help him in the end for the Steelers. He's going to be more consistent, but I don't see the big numbers out of him this year. So in fantasy football, I don't see it. I think maybe you can take him late in your draft if you want to. It's up to you. I wouldn't take it. I mean, that being said, where is he being taken in most drafts right now? Well, his average draft position is the 10th round. That seems about right. I think that is the 14th quarterback taken overall in most drafts, and to me, that's about right. I don't want him to be my starter unless it's a big league. If you are 16 teams or 14 teams, I could see it. But a 12-team league or 10-team league, nah, I don't want him being my starter this year. I just don't think he's going to be throwing the ball as much as they were in previous years because they were one of them teams that likes to throw the ball. And I think they're going to get away from that this year because they just don't have the weapons that they used to. So they're going to try and spread it around and get a more balanced offense. So with that being said, I don't really see myself wanting to take Ben Roethlisberger this year. I'd rather, if I'm not going to take somebody else before him, I'm not really going to take him. I'm just going to take a risk on one of the younger guys. Maybe a Sam Darnold. I don't know. I don't want to be too homery and take Sam Darnold, but there's a lot of younger guys that are going after Ben Roethlisberger that I'd almost rather take a risk on. So I'm not going to risk taking Ben Roethlisberger when their game plan might be completely different this year. So I think I'm going to stop it right there and just say, if you're watching us on YouTube, please click that subscribe button. And if you're subscribing, you might as well just go ahead and click that that alert button, that alarm that you get on the side. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, whatever it is, you click on that you're going to get notification. The notification bell, that's it. You click on that notification bell, you're going to get all of our episodes every time. You don't have to go searching for us. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, please give us a review. We do appreciate any review that you give us. It really does help us out. We are on Podchaser. We're on Spotify. We're on iHeartRadio. We are everywhere. You guys already know this. I say it every single time I do an episode. That being said, please give Fantasy Fuel, our actual show with me and John Eddie Jr., please check that out, and check out John Eddie Jr.'s episode as well, where he does IDP players. That's called Ride. You have to give that a listen. It's really good. You can find us on fantasyfuelpodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook. We are also on the Facebook page, Fantasy Football Stardom and Sid'em. Again, these are always in the show notes. You can also, don't forget about Pole Sports. This is coming soon, and it's going to be amazing app so that you can type your questions out to so many people. All these people are going to have a consensus. You're going to know exactly who you should start, who you should sit, who you should trade. Is this a good offer? All that stuff. It's going to be put into an app. It's going to be awesome. Don't forget about that. Other than that, I think that's going to be about it today. Please don't forget to stay fueled up this fantasy season.